As the 2020 election gets closer, we want to take a look at the role women voters played in the last few elections. According to CBS News exit polls, white women voted for Democrats 49% of the time and Republicans 49% of the time in the 2018 midterms. That's up from a 9-point gap in favor of Republicans in 2016 and a 14-point gap in 2014. The trend comes as more women are running for president than ever before. There are 6 female candidates in the crowded Democratic field. Among them, 4 U.S. senators, a congresswoman, and a best-selling author. But in a column for the Washington Post, J. Newton Small writes, female presidential candidates will have to overcome the sexism of other women. She argues that relatability may stand between non-college educated white women voters and the 2020 female candidates. And J. Newton Small is with me now from Washington. She's the founder of MemoryWell and the author of Broad Influence: How Women Are Changing the Way America Works. Jay, thank you so much for being with us. This was such an interesting read. First of all, if you could start by giving us the definition of relatability.
Elaine, thanks so much for having me. So relatability in this case really is the ability for women to look at other women candidates or women candidates out there and feel like they relate to them, feel like they make the same decisions that they would have made if they were that woman, essentially. To be able to really feel like in their shoes that they would make those decisions, and then that they could sort of relate to those life choices. And the problem is that for college-educated women, and I think there's a really big difference. You were talking about the white women vote. There's a really big difference within the white women vote between college-educated women and non-college-educated women. And so college-educated women can look at these candidates and say, yeah, I could totally see those choices and understand the way that they're making these choices. And in fact, in the last 2 elections, college-educated women have actually trended more towards Democratic candidates. Hillary Clinton actually won them in a swing from Mitt Romney of 7 percentage points from the previous election, presidential election. And again, Democrats won them in 2018. But where they really struggle with relatability is, or where the candidates struggle with relatability is non-college educated women who really can't see themselves in the shoes of these overachieving candidates. And
you write that during the 2016 campaign, the only demographic that moved back and forth dramatically was non-college educated white women. The similar shift occurred during the 2018 midterms. But do we know what exactly was behind those shifts? What caused them?
Well, so you saw right after the Democratic National Convention, the whole sort of Gold Star family, Khizr Khan, big scandal that happened with Donald Trump going after that Gold Star family who'd lost a son, that non-college educated women swung really hard away from Donald Trump after, in the wake of that. And then in the summer, you saw Kellyanne Conway take over his campaign. She's long time been the non-college educated white woman whisperer, that vote amongst Republicans. And so she worked hard over the summer to roll out a women's agenda in all of his policy speeches, to bring out Ivanka a lot more on the trail, to emphasize Donald Trump's empowering women in the New York construction industry. And so by the time we get to the sort of first debate, Donald Trump is really just 2 points behind Hillary Clinton, and they're almost neck and neck in a virtual tie. And then the whole sort of entertainment Hollywood tapes comes out, and the idea that Donald Trump feels like he can, is very sexist against women, that all those sort of groping allegations, and they turn really against him. And so by the time you get to early October, they're actually tied in polls amongst non-college educated women, which would be a huge swing. This is a demographic won by Mitt Romney by 20 percentage points. If they were actually, even in the early October, if the election had been held today, I'm pretty sure Hillary would have won it. But then, Comey reopens the investigation, former FBI Director James Comey, and the investigation into Hillary's emails, and women, those non-college educated white women, are reminded yet again that she feels like she's kind of above them, that she can make these decisions where she's not subject to the same laws as them, and they really dislike that about her, and they swing really against her. In the final days of the campaign, they end up voting for Donald Trump by an historic margin of 27 percentage points.
Well, we talk on this show a lot about electability. What does that look like in 2019? What will that look like in 2020? And I want to read a bit bit from your Washington Post piece. You write, quote, women's strengths of collaboration, compromise, and civility help them win down ballot offices where group decision-making is key. But women face a competency test for executive decision-making, essentially a yes or no question about whether they can be commander-in-chief that men don't face for the highest offices. So, Jay, why are the expectations different?
Well, because they view that legislative office as kind of a group decision-making process, and women are viewed as very collaborative, and it's a strength for them when being elected to legislative office and to things like corporate boards. But when you're a commander-in-chief, when you're a CEO, you really have to prove that you can make those decisions on your own without any other counsel of anyone else. Take that call at 3 o'clock in the morning and be able to make those life and death decisions. And so you see a lot more voters hesitant to believe that women are capable of doing that, rightly or wrongly, and so they have to prove themselves capable of doing that. But it's a really thin line to then crossing over and being considered too tough and being unlikable.
Well, it'll really be interesting to see how all of these issues that you raise play out here in the months ahead. Jay Newton-Small, great to see you. Thanks so much, Jay.
Great seeing you. Thanks, Elaine.